Hey guys, Brian here from Liquid Concepts. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the custom film that we have and that we've been printing for quite a long time now. So we've had a couple of questions, a couple of issues, things like that customers are wanting to know about. So we figured we'd go ahead and shoot a video. Now this is probably going to be a little bit lengthy video, so just stay with me here. But if you watch this video all the way through, I think this will cover and this will fix a lot of the errors or any type of problem that you may incur with the custom film that you get from us. Alright, so just to kind of give you an idea, so all the custom film that you receive from us is going to have a paper backing on it. Alright, so it's going to come rolled up just like this. Hopefully it'll look a little bit neater than this, but this just came off the printer itself. So we're going to roll this out here. Now this is one of our new custom design films that we just recently launched. So I think you guys are really going to like this for a lot of the women prints and things like that. So one thing to look at is that's going to be different from, of course, the hydrographic film to the custom film is that it has a paper backing. All right. So one thing that you want to do is you always want to remember that the side that the paper backing is stuck to, which is this side of the film, so that side of the film is always down on the water. It's a little bit different with the normal film. The normal film, you can get your fingers wet, touch the side, and then the side that sticks to your finger, whether it be one side or another, that's the side that goes down on the water on the normal hydrographic film. So on this film, it is a little bit different. From us, it's always the side that the paper backing is on. That's the side that goes down on the water. Okay, so once you have this all laid out, we'll grab a speed shape here right quick. And let's say that we need this much. So another thing to remember is that as you're laying your film out and everything, you always want to cut it first. So go ahead, cut your square that you need, and then tape it if you want to. You don't have to, but if you don't have a good film divider system, then you want to make sure that you tape it up so that way it doesn't expand, and we'll kind of go over that here in a little bit as well. So grab our tape here and grab this one as well. Alright, so we've got this here. We'll go ahead and give a little bit extra. Alright, so now that we have our film cut, and again, just like the normal film, after you're done with it, definitely keep it in a cool, dry place. You want to keep it at about room temperature, low humidity, around 40 to 60%, somewhere around in that area. Mainly just keeping it inside a shop or something like that. That's climate controlled. It's going to be the best way to do it. So now that we have this film right here, we can go ahead, if you want to trim this off, you can. It's not a big deal. We'll go ahead and trim it up. That way we get a nice, straight, more even line. So the rest of this is throw away it right there. Okay, so this is very critical. So you always want to make sure that you watch this very closely. Whenever you go to peel this backing off, you want to grab one corner. It doesn't matter which one, and you literally just want to grab it like that. Now do not pull it just like this, okay? Because if you do, what's going to happen is the backing is going to pull off with the print. So don't do that, all right? So what you want to do is you want to grab this right here, just like that, hold your finger down, and then literally just pull it. Now you see it pulling up right there, not a big deal. We'll pull it like that, and there you go. So essentially you always want to pull it 180 degrees back, and then you want to keep this as flat as possible on the table, and so that creates the least amount of resistance, so therefore it's going to peel off super easy. So a lot of people have some trouble with getting the backing coming off with the print, and that's the main reason why, is because they're just pulling it, or they're just like, you know, ripping it across, and you can't do that. You got to be a little bit careful, but other than that, everything is good to go. So once you've got that off, you can go ahead and throw this away. Now again, this side is going to be the side that goes on the water. This side is the side that we have that we're going to spray the activator on. Now if I was to test this right now, probably both sides would be sticky depending on the amount of inks and everything that we have on there. So that's why it's really critical you make sure you know which side goes up and which side goes down. So in this case, paper side is down. Alright, so we'll lay this in the water the exact same way we lay all the films. Again, everybody's got their own method and their own way of doing it, but essentially we'll just lay it in just like that, and there we go. So we'll start our timer, 60 seconds, and now we'll pull this back in. I'll probably move this over just a little bit like that. Set that down there. Set that down there. And now we wait the normal 60 seconds on the water, just like any other hydrographic film. So let me grab some gloves and we'll get started. Alright, so we got our tape tab on our speed shape, just enough to try it out. Now I'll go over the activator and the setup here in just a minute. So 60 seconds on the water, turn that off. Now this is with the Liquid Concepts activator. So every activator works differently. Some you have to wait a little bit longer, some you can dip instantly. With our activator that we have, you spray it once and you dip to it. You don't have to wait, you don't have a dwell time or anything like that. So in this case right here, I'm just gonna go one pass, just like this, all the way across. And so we'll take this, start it, and all the way across. And so you can see there now, by looking at the reflection in it, can you grab that reflection there? So you can see it's literally glassed out just like normal film would be. And so now it's all ready to go. So we'll take our speed shape and then we will dip it just like normal film right down in the water. And there you go. Alright, so if we was to dip this and rinse it and everything, it would be a perfect dip. So we'll take it, rinse it off, clear coat it, and then we'll be ready to go. So another way to tell is of course you can touch it right after you dip it and everything is good. Now this was dipped directly to ABS, but a painted part is just the exact same way. The other thing is with our prints and everything, I mean this is right out of the tank. And that's what you should get whenever you pull it right out of the tank, if it's activated properly and it's dipped properly. So let me go put this down right quick. Okay, so now that we've got that, let's talk a little bit about activator setup, activator gun setup, and everything to get the settings just right, okay? So what we've got is we have, for our activator gun, this is a SATA 100 BF. Now, technically this is a primer gun, but it works really well at atomizing the activator that we have, and it's just a really great gun. Now, a lot of the times, it's a lot of overkill for what a normal person would need, but we really enjoy and we really like the SATA brand guns. We shoot them here, and so we went ahead and went with the SATA. You can get other guns, you just want to get a good gun that atomizes at a low pressure. A lot of the Iwatas, they atomize really well at low pressure, and so on and so forth. So just to kind of give you a little bit of idea about how we have this gun set up, so then that way you can get the same results like what you just saw. So with this gun right here, we've got our air filter to, of course, prevent any trash or mainly water going into the air line and atomizing with the activator. If that happens, especially like in a summer day like today, or if you're in the south for sure, you always want to make sure that you have some type of filter or refrigerated air dryer or something to keep the water out of the lines. If not, then whenever you atomize it with the lines, with the water in the lines, it will literally just look hazy whenever you spray it, and then after you spray it and you dip it, you get dots everywhere. So definitely want to make sure you have some type of filtration and you don't have any water in your lines. So second thing is the air pressure going into the gun. Air pressure, you can adjust this depending on how you want it, but we have 60 psi going into this gun, and mainly even in our spray guns and our spray booth and all that. So we have 60 psi going into the gun. Now coming out of the gun, it's going to be a lot less. And as you notice, I am literally, in here, let me move this here so you can kind of see this. Alright, so as you notice, about 6 to 8 inches above the water, I'm just barely moving that water. And so essentially, as I make my passes across here, that water is just barely moving. Now, if I went down further, you can see I'm getting a lot of ripples and everything like that. And that would be way too close, alright? So most of the time, you want to have your gun set up to around 10, 12, 14 psi, something like that, all right? And so with this one, it's adjusted in the back. And so you can go lighter, you know, more. That's going to be something that you're going to have to play with to kind of get it set up exactly perfect, all right? So the next thing is on the fan itself. So on the fan control, we got it wide open. So we use a larger gun because we want the larger fan. And so most of the time, whenever we're about 6 to 8 inches above the water, we get that larger fan, and so we're able to cover more space in one pass. So the next thing is how many fluid turns out are we? Now, this is going to be something to where I'm just going to tell you, it can vary, okay? Because if you spray this fast, like that, across the water, you're going to want to back that out more than if you spray this fast across the water, all right? Now, both of them will still do the exact same job, but you're going to have to adjust this depending on how fast you spray on top of the water. Now, one way to gauge this is if you're always over activating it, then maybe turn it in one turn and then keep it at that same distance, that same speed, and dial it in. Now again, I hate telling you that because I know it's not 3 turns in, 6 turns in, but everybody's going to be different, okay? And so that's why a lot of the times, for me, I have this one quite a bit out because I do spray a little bit quicker. But for somebody starting out, you may want this in a lot more so you don't pull it back as much and you don't have enough fluid coming out to where you over activate it, okay? So the next thing is the tip. So with this tip right here, what we've got is it's a 1.4 tip. Now a 1.3, a 1.5, I've even seen people use 1.8s and 2.0s. Those are perfectly fine to use. Once you get down to anything under about a 1.3, you can still use it, but you don't get a lot of fluid through it, and so you have to back it out even more to get the same amount as if you was using, say, a 1.4 or a 1.6 tip. And so that also goes back to the tip size and how much fluid that you need to adjust on coming out of the gun, all right? So again, whenever you're spraying it, with this right here, you can adjust your air horns, whether you want to spray it like this, or you can turn them and spray it like this right here, all right? So depending on how you want your gun set up and depending on what your film is doing after you spray it, that will determine how to set this gun up. But hopefully that right there will give you a pretty good indication on getting it pretty close, probably 80% dialed in. And then from there you can take and adjust the fine settings on, okay, lower the PSI a little bit, crank it up a little bit, because if you're getting more of a spitting action whenever you're spraying your activator, then maybe crank up that air just a little bit to atomize it a little bit more. Or if you're not getting enough coming out, then maybe back this fluid needle out a little bit more, so that way you get more of a smooth, you know, glassy look to it. So depending on how you have your gun set up will depend on the way that you spray and everything like that. But hopefully that'll give you a pretty good idea. So now that we've kind of went over that, now I want to talk a little bit about the custom film in general and just some problems that you may have. So let's go back over here and I'll kind of show you some differences in things that you don't want to do whenever you are using the custom film. So one thing is, like I was saying before, is let's just go ahead and tape this, all right? So we'll tape this down like that, come back down here, tape it across, and then there and there. So in normal film, this would work perfectly fine. We can take and cut it across here, cut it across there, we'll cut that off, we're ready to go, right? The problem is if you tape this, a lot of the times whenever you go to peel this back like this, it'll want to peel off this backing. And so like with this one, it seems to be pretty good. But if you get it past that cut line, a lot of the times it wants to pull, and with this one it's not going to. But if you take and you pull it like this, a lot of the times on the back of it, you'll have these white streaks across there because it will pull that back. So most of the time you want to try to make sure that you put the tape on after you go ahead and you lay it on the water. So in this case, or not lay it on the water, but after you peel it, the backing off, then you put your tape on and then you lay it on the water. So we'll go ahead and put this in. Film's gonna lay like this, and we'll show you a couple of more issues that we've seen. So we'll come over here, we'll set this down like that. Because we have our taped border, we don't have to worry about having our divider. So I'll just go ahead and pull this divider in just so it doesn't move everywhere. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to allow that water to seep in right through here. Now one thing you want to remember is if this happens like this, you got to make sure you have a very tight divider system in place all the way around the film, because what's going to happen is here in about 10-30 seconds, somewhere around that area, depending on your temperature of your water and things like that, this film will actually start to creep out this way. And the main reason is because it doesn't have a divider in here to allow it to move back out. So especially after you activate it, whenever you see that, essentially it's just going to want to pull away right through there. And so you can start to somewhat see it right in here. You see how it's starting to crack right in here, just like that. And so if we leave it on just a little bit longer, about another 10 or 15 seconds, you can see that these cracks right here are starting to become a lot more noticeable. And so there you go. So you see those cracks like that. If you have more, if you have a lot of where the film has came in like this right here, and let's say that we had a lot right in there, then essentially you can see it's already starting to break up right in here, and literally it will just start pulling out because there's not any divider in that area. And so you see how it's starting to break up right in there now and all right through there. So this is another reason why it's very critical to make sure that you have your film contained, because essentially you can see it's literally just breaking up more and more and more. So we'll turn the pump on, we'll get this out of here, and I'll throw some more film on the water and I'll kind of show you some more things with it. Okay, so make sure you've got your film on the water, you got it contained, everything's good. You saw in the first video, if you dip it and you've got your dividers in place and they're nice and tight, you're perfectly fine. But if you have film on the water and you got tape on the water, that's something to remember, to not let the water go up on the film, so therefore it won't allow it to break up like that. So let's go back over here. Next thing is, we'll go ahead and just cut this off even here. So the next thing is that we want to talk about is the film being upside down. A lot of the times this happens from time to time. Even I do it sometimes. It's part of it. So I want to kind of show you what will happen if the film is on top of the water and it's actually upside down. So let's see if I can get this to rip, which actually it's working really well. So normally this would be the water side, okay? So we're actually going to lay it just like this, all right? So we're actually laying it upside down. And so we'll take this over here, lay this down, and start our timer. And one thing that you'll notice whenever you lay your film upside down is that it will literally just crack everywhere, okay? And so you can start to see it cracking a lot all the way through, and we're only 15 seconds in, 20 seconds in. So if your film is doing this, that's one way to quickly tell, hey, I got this film on the water, it's upside down, flip it over, and you'll get the results like what we did on the first dip. All right, so of course this film is ruined, we can't use it anymore, and so we'll go ahead and rinse it back off. All right, so make sure that the backing side of the film always goes down on the water. Okay, so let me get this out. We don't need a dip anymore. Okay, so the next one is mainly on an activator issue. So a lot of the times people, whenever they call us, they're having issues with it has spots in it or dots or anything like that. One thing to remember is that if you have dots, like little bitty tiny dots everywhere, most of the time it's not activated enough, all right? And so I'll kind of go through here and show you this. Now you won't be able to see it right now because it normally happens after the rinse, but I'll show you what the film will look like so you know not to do that, okay? So we'll lay the film down again. This time it'll be the right side up. Start our timer, pull our dividers in, and get everything set. Alright, so I'll just go ahead and do that right there. Okay, so we got about 20 seconds in. We'll let this sit here, and then I'll also show you what it'll look like after you activate it and it's still not enough activator on the water. I'll go ahead and dip my hand in there so that way you can see it. Alright, so we got about 15 seconds left. Now again, what's going to happen is whenever we lay this activator down, I'm just going to make a quick pass on it. It's going to do two things. Number one, it's going to break up really bad. And then number two, you're going to see it really hazy on top of the water. And that's whenever you know that you don't have enough activator on that film. So we'll take this right here. Now again, a lot quicker than our first pass, and now if you look at it, you can see how kind of hazy it is all the way around there. That's not really what you're looking for. So now we'll go and we'll dip it, and you'll see how it'll want to break up and pull, and you see how it's wanting to break up there. So whenever we go, and you can see all the dots that it's even getting inside the blue and things like that. And so if we were to rinse this, it looks fairly good on the hand, but the problem is whenever you go to rinse this, you're going to get dots and spots everywhere. So definitely want to make sure you get enough activator on there. Now again, the Liquid Concepts activator, as we spray it, literally just spray one normal pass on it, just like your normal films, and then you dip it, perfectly fine. If you do need to add another pass to it, maybe it was a little bit light, no big deal. You can lay another pass on it, you're good to go. So hopefully this helps clear up a lot of issues or problems or anything like that that you may have with the custom film, and hopefully this will get you dipping a lot better with the custom film in general. So if you have any questions or anything like that, please don't hesitate to call us. That's what we're here for. We've developed it, we've made it, this is what we do. So we can definitely help you out with it. So our phone number is 501-455-5500, or also shoot us an email with some pictures and we'll be more than happy to help you out. Email is info@liquidconcepts.com. I really appreciate you guys hanging in there with me through this long video, but hopefully this will get you up and going and answer almost any question that you have with the custom film through Liquid Concepts. So thank you guys.